This is a J&M Technical Series video. Today, we are going to go over the procedures for assembling, testing, troubleshooting, and tuning the J&M LPCBA series CB antennas. Now, one of the biggest issues that we've always had, that our customers have always had, has been putting the antenna together here on J&M's LPCBA antenna kits. Getting the order of the antenna, the top nut, the washer, the insulator, the bottom, the ground strap, getting all that in the correct order so that you don't short the antenna to ground, cause an open circuit, whatever. So we're going to take that apart now and show you how that goes back together and why. We will now disassemble the complete stud mount assembly to show how it is designed to function properly as a CB antenna. So what we have right now is this is from our coax connector, from the coax that plugs into the CB up front. This is our ground strap eyelet. And here are our pieces. This is the top nut, the lock washer, the flat washer, the little insulator, and the bolt. So up at the front of the bike, we need to find the coax connector cable that comes from the JMCB 2003, and we need to unscrew it. Okay, unscrew it, disconnected. This is coming from the JMCB 2003. This is coming from the antenna. Using a simple volt ohm meter, we are going to check continuity in our CB antenna coax cable. And at the same time, we are going to check and make sure that the coax cable is not open or shorted. So back here on the coax, there's a ring. Right here is a conductive ring, and on the other side is a conductive ring. One side is the shield of the coax, the other side is the center core of the coax. You want to positively identify which one is the center core and which one is the shield. The other end of the coax, the center core is the long tit or nipple, and the outside is the shield of the coax. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make sure that we've got continuity between the center of the coax and one of those rings. We're going to identify which that is, and then we're going to hold it on the outside and identify the other. So we know which ring is the outside of the coax and which ring is the center core. Okay, so we're going to assemble our antenna now. This is the conductive side for the shield ring from the ground strap. So the first thing you do is you put that over the top of that. Then you take your bolt. Now the bolt is going to go through and touch the center core conductive side of the ring. So the bolt goes like that, this goes up, and you want to center your ground strap ring so that it's all the way around that insulator coming up. Then you bring it up through the mount. It's a perfect half-inch hole, and you center the bolt so that the bolt shaft never comes in contact with any part of the mount. Take your nylon insulator with the protruded side, put it down into that half-inch hole, hold it snug. Take your flat washer, put it on top. Take your lock washer, put it on top of that. Take the large 5/8 elongated nut, put it on top of that, and hand tighten it together and position it where you want it. Take your 9/16 box end wrench, put it on the bottom, your 5/8 on top and snug it up again, holding the coax and the ground strap positioned where you want them. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing again to make sure that our conductive side for the shield and our conductive side for the center core was not fouled up. Center core should go to the top of the antenna, because that's our center core of the shield, antenna side, and the outside or frame should go here to the shield. Then we want to check and make sure they're not shorted. Okay, so everything's good. It's not shorted. Okay, and both the shield and the center core conductors are coming through. Now we're going to put our antenna back on. You pull up on the grommet, pull up on the outside, screw the antenna back down into the stud. Take your 5/8 wrench to hold the bottom. Snug up your antenna. Put this down. Put the little O-ring back down around the top. And voila, there you go. Now, starting in December of 2011, all of the LPCBA and most other part numbers of J&M CB antenna kits are pre-tuned from the factory for all 40 channels of our CB radio. If, however, you do want to check the SWR or tune the SWR, again, Radio Shack is a good place to obtain a meter. You can put it in line up at the front of the motorcycle with those two connectors we had apart and the jumper cable that comes with the SWR meter. You want to pay special attention to the back of the meter to make sure that you've hooked up the antenna cables to the correct place, antenna, receiver, so and so. Now before you can set SWRs, the CB won't throw the meter unless it's on high power. So there's low power, there's high power. You want to check and make sure that the CB is on high power and then go to channel 1, okay, before you begin your SWR check and adjustment. Okay, so now we're going to check the SWR on channel 1. Set the SWR meter to set line, hit the transmit lever on the CB, and rotate the calibrate over to the far right line on the meter. And then, as you're holding the transmit button down, okay, push down on the calibrate until it gives you a reading. Now we're going to go to channel 40 and do the same thing. Say all we're interested in is 1 and 40 at this point. Okay, back to the calibrate line, calibrate the needle, back to the other line and get a reading and record that. Now, as long as channel 1 is lower than channel 40, the antenna is still too long. If you get to a point where the SWR reading on channel 40 is lower than channel 1, you've cut too much off. So, the readings on channel 1 were lower than channel 40. So we take the cap off and we're going to take a little bit of copper out of the antenna. Okay, so channel 1 was almost flat, channel 40 was just up into the red, so we're going to take off a couple inches of coax here, or I'm sorry, a couple of inches of copper, and we're going to snip it off and fold that small little piece right back over the center of the antenna, and we're going to put the cap back on, just lightly. So we're at about 1.8 to 1 on channel 1 with this little, I think it's about an 18-inch antenna. We're about 1.8 on channel 1 and we're about 2.9 on channel 40. So we're going to go back to the antenna and we're going to take off a couple more inches of wire. And like I said, the reason you want to check 1 and 40 and 1 and 40 only is that if 1 is lower than 40, the antenna is too long. If 1 is higher than 40, the antenna is too short. And it's very difficult to make it longer once you've cut it off too short. Okay, now we're back to checking channels 1 and 40 again. Channel 1 this time is up to about 2 to 1. And channel 40 should have come down just about to meet it in the same place. And again, now they're almost exactly the same. That's what you want. You don't want to cut off anymore. So now, just for the sake of argument, we're going to put the CB on channel 20 and show you that 20 has an SWR of almost flat 1 to 1. And what that means, when you get to that point where 1 and 40 are the same and channel 20 is almost flat, that means 1 and 40 are the highest SWR in the whole spectrum, and every channel in between is at or lower than that SWR reading. Okay, so when the antenna is all adjusted, to keep everything together, keep it from corroding real bad and all that, we're going to squirt a little bit of black silicone cone inside the cap. Don't make too much of a mess, and stick it all back over the top and shove it on. Now it's sealed, bonded, and nothing will ever happen to it again. Water won't get to it, nothing. Now that you're all done with the antenna tip, it's time to take the meter out of the line. I can't tell you how many times I have, and I'm sure our customers have occasionally done it. They'll take the meter out of the line. They're so happy they get the SWRs adjusted finally on their antenna that they forget to plug the CB antenna coax back in. And needless to say, it won't work very well if the antenna coax is not plugged back together and secured. So we're going to screw it back together. When we're all done, we snug it up good, hand tight. We're going to take some black electrical tape, and we're going to go back over the top of the connector to keep moisture out, to keep it secure, and all that kind of stuff. And then we're going to zip tie and secure the cable in place up under the fuel tank in the fork neck area. So again, it's all ready to go. And that completes our CB antenna assembly, test, check, SWR tuning on this example of the cruiser motorcycle.